welcome to the Power Yoga class. This is going to be a little more challenging of a workout, especially as far as your yoga and stretch day goes. So come into this with some energy and a little bit of determination. That being said, I'll try to throw out different options so that you can modify as needed, if needed. We're going to start laying down on our backs. We'll go through a warm-up, a breath practice, and then we'll get into the bulk of the workout, eventually ending up in a cool down and then Shavasana. So let's start in a comfortable position, laying down on our backs or seated for our breath practice. If you're laying down, you can keep the knees bent, maybe just taking the feet wide and allowing the knees to rest together in the middle. But if it feels okay, you can extend those legs long, resting arms down by the sides, maybe rotating those palms to face upwards, opening up the chest a little more, and making any adjustments here to feel a little more comfortable. We can take the eyes closed or take a soft gaze. And we'll seal off the lips and begin to breathe in and out of the nose. Tuning into the breath. Beginning to fill up the lungs completely on the inhales. And on the exhales, emptying out the lungs. Let's take another big breath. On the exhale, sighing it out. And then we'll just softly blink open the eyes, maybe hugging knees into the chest if that feels nice here. We can grab around the shins or the backs of the legs, rocking side to side. Maybe drawing some circles with the knees. Just tuning into the body. Notice how you're feeling. If there's any areas in the body that are really tight or sore, or maybe we're taking care of an injury, let's just honor that. Make a mental note here that we're going to honor that throughout the practice. And then let's come through center with the knees. We're going to do some alternating knee hugs. So we'll take one knee in, the other leg extends long, floating it off the floor. Take an inhale, exhale to switch. We inhale to draw the other knee in. Exhale, switch. We may start to lift the shoulder blades off the floor. Using that breath, one breath per movement as we go throughout our warm-up. Breathing in and out of the nose. Let's do one more each leg. And then we'll draw both knees back into the chest. Releasing feet to the floor. We're planting those feet down, hips width distance apart. Arms can rest down by the sides. And we're going to flow through a few hip bridge. Inhaling to lift the hips. Exhaling to release down. Pressing our weight into the heels. Let's do one more hip bridge. And then release those hips down. We're going to come up to tabletop. So grabbing behind one leg, we can use momentum to come up and over to hands and knees on the floor. So aligning our wrists right under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We'll flow through a few cat-cow. Inhaling, dropping the belly, stretching across the chest, gazing upwards. Exhaling, tucking tailbone under, pressing away from the floor and drawing chin to the chest. So again, inhaling for cow pose, exhaling for cat. A couple more with the breath. And then after that next exhale, returning to a neutral spine. So back to tabletop spinal balance. We inhale to reach opposite arm and leg. Exhale, release. Inhale, reaching long for the other side. So alternating sides here. Inhaling, reaching. Exhaling, releasing. Trying to keep our hips square to the floor. Abs are pulled up. Let's do one more on each side, and then we'll press back to a child's pose. So feet together, knees wide. We rest those hips back towards the heels, resting forehead to the floor, and reaching our fingertips toward. Taking one more breath. And at the end of that exhale, we'll rise up. We're shifting forward to a kneeling plank. So we're gonna go through a little flow here. So you may walk those hands forward a little bit. Shift the hips forward in line with the body, and then we'll take an inhale in our kneeling plank. Exhale, lowering through chaturanga. So bending the elbows, lowering slow, all the way down to the floor. Tops of the feet on the mat. We inhale, peeling chest away from the floor for cobra. Exhaling, releasing, pressing with that strong core back to child's pose. Let's go through that a couple more times. Inhale, shift forward, kneeling plank. Exhale, lower through chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra. Exhaling, strong core, pressing back to child's pose. One more time, optional flow. Meeting up in child's pose. So from here, we're gonna take it to a downward facing dog. We'll tuck the toes under, send the hips up high. Taking a few breaths here, maybe pedaling out the heels, bending deep into one knee, pressing opposite heel to the floor. And then we'll take our inhale in downward facing dog. Exhale, walk the feet forward, coming to a forward fold at the top of the mat. We want our feet hips width distance apart, so a little bit of space between the feet. Little bend in the knees. On an inhale, we're gonna reach the arms up overhead, reverse swan dive, and then open up those palms to face forward for mountain pose. So we're gonna go through sun salutations next. So it's one breath per movement. We're really gonna build some heat in the body. We'll start in mountain pose at the top of the mat. For mountain pose, we're inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead, exhaling, swan dive to a forward fold. Right foot steps back to either a lunge or a kneeling lunge. We can stay here or inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands down to frame the front foot, stepping that foot back to downward facing dog. Inhaling, shifting forward, plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, lower through chaturanga. Inhaling for cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, lunge or kneeling lunge. Inhaling, optional reach overhead. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot. And we step forward to a forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive, reaching up. Exhaling, sitting low into chair. Inhale, reach up overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Left foot steps back, lunge or kneeling lunge. Inhaling, optional reach. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot, stepping back to downward facing dog. Inhaling, shifting forward, plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, lowering through chaturanga. Inhaling for cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, lunge or kneeling lunge. Inhaling, optional reach overhead. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot. Stepping forward, forward fold. Inhaling, reverse swan dive, reaching up. Exhale, sitting low into chair. Good. Inhale, reach up overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Right foot steps back, lunge or kneeling lunge. Inhaling, reaching overhead. Exhale, hands down to frame that front foot. Pressing back to down dog. Inhaling, shifting forward, plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, we'll pause in down dog. Take a few breaths. If you need to, you could always come down to child's pose. Should be feeling nice and warm. As you're ready, finding that downward facing dog. We'll inhale to lift the right leg up behind us. Exhale, shift forward, drive that knee as far forward as you can, or stepping that foot between those front hands. You can always use your hands to guide that leg forward if you need to. We're rising up for warrior one. So as we rise up, deep bend in that front leg, swiveling the back foot flat. If that doesn't feel good for the knee, we could come up on the ball of that back foot. Arms reaching up overhead, shoulders relaxed, squaring our hips towards the front of the mat. So we have the option to just hold warrior one, or we'll take a few movements. So inhaling, straightening into that front leg. Exhaling, deep bend. Inhaling, straighten, exhale, deep bend. Last one, if you're taking that flow, exhaling into warrior one. Inhale, reach those fingertips up. Exhaling, open up to warrior two. Hips square to the long edge of the mat. Reaching those arms long at shoulder height, gazing over front fingertips. Again, we have the option to hold, or we'll inhale to reach the back arm forward. Exhaling to pull a bow and arrow, so archer flow. Inhaling forward, exhale, pull that bow, keep that deep bend in that front leg. 2 more breaths if you're doing that flow. And after that last one, resetting in warrior two, flipping that front palm to face up, reverse warrior, reaching right fingertips up towards the sky. We have the option to stay here in reverse, or we'll inhale here, exhale for side angle, right forearm to right thigh, or right fingertips to the inside of that right foot. So inhaling reverse warrior, exhaling side angle. 2 more if you're doing the flow. And after that last one, we'll meet up in warrior two, taking an inhale here. Exhaling, cartwheeling those hands down to frame that front foot. We're coming up on the ball of the back foot. Stepping the foot back, we can take it through a flow or just go right to downward facing dog. Taking a breath in downward facing dog. And then our next inhale, lifting left leg up behind us. Exhaling, shifting forward, driving that knee forward and stepping the foot between the hands. On an inhale, rising up, warrior one. Option to stay here and hold. Option to flow, inhaling, straightening. Exhaling, deep bend. Last one, exhaling into warrior one. We inhale, reach those fingertips high. Exhale, warrior two, squaring hips towards the long edge of the mat. Option to hold warrior two or take it through that archer flow. Inhaling, reaching forward. Exhaling for that bow. Two more times. Good. Inhaling, we flip that front palm up, reverse warrior. We can stay here or flow to side angle as we exhale. Inhaling, reverse warrior. Exhaling, strong core to side angle. Last one, if you're taking the flow after side angle, we'll all meet up in warrior two. Taking an inhale here, exhaling, cartwheeling the hands down, optional flow, going right to downward facing dog. Taking a couple breaths in downward facing dog. so we have another flow, and then we'll be cooling down, making our way to our final relaxation. So last little push right here. From downward facing dog, we're inhaling, lifting the right leg up. Exhaling, stepping it through. This time rising upright to warrior two. So deep into the front leg, gazing over those front fingertips. Taking a breath. Good, so we can always stay here in warrior two. If we're looking for a little bit of a balanced challenge, we're gonna shift forward into our front foot for warrior three. So arms come down by the sides like like airplane wings. That back foot floating off the floor, chest lowering parallel to the floor. See if you can turn that open hip down so we're keeping hips square to the floor. Take a breath. We can also stay here, or we're gonna dive down for half split. So hands come either down to the floor or holding on to your ankle, one or both hands, lifting that back leg up higher. And then we're gonna stand up, keep floating this back leg. So driving that leg forward to a nice tabletop position. And we're gonna go into eagle pose. So I'm just gonna turn to face you. We have our left leg floating. So left arm is gonna come underneath the right. Eagle wrap. So if you can double wrap your arms, that's great. If not, press back so the hands together, or give yourself a hug here. And then we're wrapping left leg over the right, sitting nice and deep into our eagle pose. Take a deep breath, and then we'll exhale, release, reach those arms up, exhaling, forward fold. Stepping the left leg back. We can go right to downward facing dog or take it through a flow. Meeting up and downward facing dog. Inhaling down dog, we'll lift the left leg. Exhale, step through, rising up to warrior two, gazing over left fingertips. Again, we have the option to stay here in warrior two, or we'll begin to shift forward into that front foot for warrior three. Arms floating down by the sides, airplane wings. Option to stay here or dive down for half splits. And then we're gonna stand up tall, floating that right knee up. Good, eagle wrap, right arm underneath the left. And then right leg wraps over the left. So you can lift those elbows, but sit a little bit deeper here. Good, inhale, unwind, reach up. Exhale, just forward fold, just pausing here in our fold. Letting all that tension go. And then on an inhale, we're gonna sweep the arms up overhead, reverse swan dive. And exhale to mountain pose. Take a breath. All right, so we have two balancing poses to bring the heart rate down before we come down for our cool down. So starting in mountain pose, we're gonna lift the right leg up in front of us. So this is hand to foot. We have the option to stay here. You could grab around the shin, or if you're able to, you're gonna interlace those fingers around the foot, standing up nice and tall. Option to stay here, option to kick that leg forward. Wherever we are, taking a big breath. And then we're gonna go right into dancer. So that right leg comes behind us. We're grabbing the inside of that right ankle. Squeeze the thighs together, left arm reaches up. We can stay here, or for some fun, kicking into the hand, dancer pose. And then coming back through center, releasing that foot down. Let's do those two poses on the other side. So we're shifting weight into the right foot. Left knee comes up to hip level. We can stay here, maybe grab around the shin, or if we're gonna kick into the hand, interlacing those fingers around that left foot and kicking forward when we're ready. Wherever you are breathing, if you lose the breath, it's usually a sign to back out. And then going right to dancer, grabbing onto the inside of that left ankle. Draw the thighs together. Right arm reaches up. And then option to kick into the hand, dancer pose. Good, standing up tall, releasing that foot. Chance to grab water here, and then we're gonna be coming down for our cool down into our final relaxation. So we'll make our way down onto our backs, however you wanna come down onto the floor, and we'll just start by hugging knees into the chest. Just take a moment, notice any changes in the body, the mind, or in your energy. And then we're gonna plant the feet down for hip bridge. So make sure those feet are hips width distance apart, arms down by the sides, and we're lifting those hips, this time holding them up in our bridge pose. And then releasing those hips down. We have a few options here. Option one is just gonna be waterfall, lifting those feet up. Or we can do shoulder stand to plow. So just make sure if you're gonna go into plow that you're gonna keep your head in a neutral position. So you might wanna watch plow first and then come back and do it on your own. Shoulder stand, grabbing the low back as we lift those hips. For plow, we drop those feet overhead. So again, keeping the head in a neutral position, looking straight ahead for plow. And then we'll go ahead and release through shoulder stand or waterfall. And we're gonna grab that right knee, extend the left leg long, open up the right arm to the side, take the left leg across the body, right leg across the body, spinal twist. Option to look over the right fingertips. We're gonna unwind and do figure four here. So keep the right knee in, plant your left foot down. We're crossing right foot over the left thigh. So we want that right ankle resting on the left thigh. Keep your right foot flexed. We can either press on the leg here or grab behind the left leg to hug those legs a little bit closer. Relaxing shoulders down to the floor when you find where you wanna be. We'll gently release. We're extending our right leg long, hugging left knee to the chest. Left arm opens up to the side, taking that leg across the body. Option to turn and look over the left fingertips. We'll gently unwind, keeping that left knee in, right foot plants down, crossing left foot over right thigh for figure four. Gentle pressure away on that left leg, or grabbing behind the other leg to hug the legs close. And then we'll release the legs, just hugging knees into the chest or taking any last poses that you'd like before we go into final relaxation. And then as we set up, you can keep the knees bent, allowing those knees to rest together with the feet wide, or extending the legs long, arms down by the sides, palms facing up. We'll take the eyes closed, being still in the body, still in the mind, in Shavasana. We'll bring our awareness back to the breath. You can wiggle the fingers and toes. Maybe let the head fall from side to side. And then we'll roll over onto one side, cradling the head and the arm, keeping the eyes closed here. And then eventually using the strength of the arms to press up to our easy seated position, either resting hands in the lap or pressing the palms together at heart center. The light that shines in me honors the light that shines in you. Namaste.